Hello students, so we can start the class. If you can hear my voice, can I get a Y in the chat box, students? Thank you very much. Monica, can you moderate?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, good evening. So students, today what we are going to do is we are going to do the strategy canvas. Now strategy canvas, we are doing this mainly because in the examination, you will be concentrating as a finance manager working for piping. You will be always considering yourself as a finance manager, whatever said and done. So students, this strategy canvas is very important so that you can understand the current strategy and the possibilities of moving forward. So if you observe the strategy canvas in the bottom, we generally starts with revenue streams. Now, students, if you see every business, before you start a business, you need to always check whether you have sources of revenue. Now, Monica, if you observe piping, what is their major revenue stream? Anyone in the class? Can someone tell me what is their major revenue stream?
Black tea, sir. Black
Correct.
tea bags.
Black tea is their major revenue stream, and it is mostly the tea bags. It's always the tea bags. And also, students, just for your understanding, they also have the loose tea as well. They have the loose tea as well. So, the major revenue stream is coming from the black tea only. Okay, so students, just remember the black tea is the major revenue stream at the moment. Now, students, even if you consider the other thing, that is the cost structure. Now, students, when you understand the revenue, you need to quickly identify the cost, because students, you need to always try to make sure that your cost is always less than the revenue that you generate. So in this case, students, it was clearly mentioned 40% of the cost is generally due to the purchase of tea leaves. Correct, Monica, if I'm not mistaken? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So I'll write down here 40% cost on the procurement of tea leaves from the auction. Students, I believe this is very much clear for you. And also students, blenders charges, because we generally have the blenders charges as well. And also students, packaging fees is also there, packaging charges. And then what I can specifically say is logistics, if I'm not mistaken, because we have that, and the factory cost and overheads. So students, these are the major type of cost structure we generally have at the moment. So the thing here, 40% is on tea leaves. That is the major idea. So students, you understand very carefully revenue and the cost. Now students, now what you need to understand is this revenue, how you are going to subdivisionalize. So the first thing of revenue subdivisionalize is the customer segments. So Monica, if you do not mind, can you tell me what are the customer segments we have in this business? What are the customer segments, if you do not mind? One is the Northlandian customers, correct, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes,
because
sir.
we have the Northlandian customers, because that is very much important. Northlandian consumers, I can generally say. And
Yes, sir.
also students,
Business to business. Retailers, sir. And
we
ex.
have the expatriates of Northlandia. So these are the major consumer segments we have. Business to business is not yet a consumer segment. We are not at all giving it to, it's an opportunity only. So students get this point of view. These are the customer segments we have at the moment. So the other point of view is students, the customer relationship. Now, students, if you observe, every business will have their own tactics to manage the customer relationship. But in this point of view, students, how are they managing the customer relationship is, I can generally say, online feedbacks. What do you think, Monica? Yes or no? Online
Yes, sir.
feedbacks. That is
Feedbacks, advertisements also.
one is, if I'm not mistaken, advertisement as well. online feedback, advertisement. What about the packaging? Because packaging plays a major role, because they clearly mention they have that foiled package which can be sealed once again and which will be fresh as usual. So online feedback, advertisement, packaging. So these are the customer relationship they generally maintain at the moment, students. And one more thing I can specifically say is word of mouth, because students just observe the expatriates in Northlandia would have definitely or got this product basically due to word of mouth. And then the next thing is sales channel, because you may have everything, but you need to be able to deliver the product directly to the consumers. So the sales channel, what I can specifically say here, one sales channel I can just mention here is known as the major retailers, correct? Because they sell via the major retailers at the moment. And other than that, do they have any sales channel, Monica?
Social media, sir.
Social media is a sales channel or a marketing media?
Marketing.
Marketing, no? So I'll write down that as a customer relationship and the social media, because you do not have any, I can say, a platform oriented to sell your product. Are you clear what I'm saying? You have a platform in social media just to promote your product, but you do not have anything that is specifically focusing on selling. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So students, I believe this is clear for you. Can I quickly get a Y in the chat box, students, if the this part is fine with you, students? Because you need to make sure that you take a printout of this as well, because you need to understand the business positioning clearly. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, students, cost. Now, this area is on the revenue. And now let's focus on the cost. So the cost, first thing what we need to understand is the key partners. The key partners, because in the modern business environment, we generally focus on the key partners. So let's focus on the key partners. So Monica, can I ask you a question? So in
Yes,
this case study, the key partners can be the plantation. What do you think, Monica? Yes
yes,
or
sir.
no? The
Yes, sir.
plantations. The plantation I can specifically mention here is basically the regional people. That is the East Africa, and I can say the South Asia, if I'm not mistaken. And then students, the next thing we have is the retailers, major retailers, because I think major retailers are like Walmart, like bigger chains, if I'm not mistaken. Major retailers, that is one more major thing. And then we may have blenders, because we need to have a strong quality blenders. And then factory workers, because they are also very much essential in order to make the products very stronger. And then students, we can also focus on other aspects as well. Example, I can generally say the shareholders, because shareholders are important, because we are generally a listed organization in order to raise
Executive
finance.
and non-executive director, sir.
Correct, correct. And the management all falls under this. So students, these are the key partners. And coming to the next one, students, is the key activities. So let's work on the key activities as well. So what do they do? What do these people do? That is the major important thing. One is, I can say, plantations. They supply of quality tea leaves. Correct, Monica? Yes or no? Quality
Yes, sir.
tea leaves, because the quality plays a major role. And the other thing is the blending. The blending process is very important to manage the taste of the product as well. And
High
after
quality packaging, sir.
packaging is a very important packaging. And I'll write down here attractiveness, because it needs to be highly attractive rather than just a foil cover. And
And
after
first mover of e-bags, sir.
correct. So that is fine. That I will come to later. So
Okay.
these are the key activities what they are doing. Another one I can generally say promotions. Correct, because promotions
Yes,
are very much essential at the moment. And now the other thing is the key resources, because they need to have resources in order to make this successful. So the key resources one they have is the factory, correct? Because without
Automated
the
resources, sir.
correct. So I'll write down here one is factory. Factory is very important. And the employees, the workforce, 700 employees are there in the factory because that is a key resource at the moment. And the blending team, because that is another very important aspect because the areas where they are generally blending. And then the retail network, what do you think? Because does it play a major role? Of course. The
Yes.
retail network, okay, that is very important. And the other one is the plantation relationship because Monica, can you remember they are generally investing more money on development of infrastructure in the cultivation areas by building education, houses, construction, everything. So the
Yes, sir.
plantation relationship is a key resource at the moment. Now if you generally see, Monica, what happens is any business can copy this. You understand what I'm saying? Any
Yes.
business can copy the strategy of this organization, but what it differentiates is the value proposition. Now if you see the value proposition, like you said, the first mover advantage or the first people, I'll write down here first to introduce. So I'll just mention for your understanding. First to introduce what? First to introduce
Tea bags.
tea bags. First to introduce tea bags. Now, first to introduce tea bag is a value proposition. That's a clear thing. And then 1852, right? 1852 establishment, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
Yes
yes.
or no? So
Yes.
that is one value proposition. And another value proposition is strong black tea because they have that strong in that, if I'm not mistaken, strong black tea. And the other value proposition that we can generally consider here at the moment is a good trading history. You get what I'm saying, Monica?
Yes,
Because
sir.
all these are the value proposition. Now if you see our company's competitor is if I'm not mistaken, Hatlo. So if you consider Hatlo with piping, you observe there is a huge difference. Are you clear what I'm saying there? So
Yes.
whatever said and done, this value proposition cannot be duplicated or done anything. So effectively seeing, students, these are the only current strategies we have. So students, can I quickly get a Y in the chat box if you are fine? And after this, let's continue with the future strategies because currently we are done with this, but future strategies are very much important, students. Future strategies are very much important
Sir,
because,
we,
yes, Monica.
we can add high quality packaging also, yes, sir.
No, high quality packaging anyway can be copied by some other people. You get what I'm saying?
Okay,
But
sir.
these things, value proposition cannot be copied by anyone. Are you
Okay,
clear with that?
okay,
Sir,
sir.
one quick question, sir. On the cost structure, shall we include the advertisement and marketing because the piping is spending lots of money in these
Yes,
advertisements?
we can do that. We can do that as well. We can do that. So students, coming back to the application, so let's start doing this. So Monica, the revenue streams are only with tea bags, but black tea, but the potential revenue stream can be what? There can
Green
be
tea.
green tea. Okay, there can be teapots, correct?
Yes.
There can be teapots, there can be green tea, and then there can be
Infusion tea.
infusions can come. Okay, infusions, that is the flavor. And then we have that what is the name
Iced
for the
tea.
iced tea? What is the name?
Cool.
No,
Chilled tea, sir.
no, there was a name given in the pre-scene material. The name what they gave for this iced tea, I think I got the answer. It is ready to drink. Ready to drink. So ready to drink is one category. Ready to drink is one category. So students, get these aspects very, very well because this is very much important in order to make sure that your applications are becoming stronger in this point of view. Because this is very, very important because these are the areas that this organization has not considered at the moment. And then can you remember a decaffeinated tea? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
decaffeinated tea. So decaffeinated tea can be one thing where you can generally reduce the caffeine content. And then one more thing, health tea. We can also introduce health tea. So many teas are there, like Ayurvedic
Herbal
tea
tea.
or something, herbal tea. So I'll write down here herbal tea. So it's a consideration of new revenue stream. And in the worst case scenario, we can go for coffee as well. Correct, Maunika? Because we
Yes.
can produce tea and also we can produce coffee as well. And
Organic
all
tea, sir.
organic tea also can be done. And so you need to get this application very well. And also students, we can go for related or unrelated diversification.
On sir.
Correct. We can go for a diversification as well. Anything is possible, students, because you just mark yourself as a finance manager. You need to understand these things are very much important. Is that fine, Monica?
Yes, sir.
Tea outlets, that's what we can go for the retail outlets as well. So all those things are possible at the moment. So coming to the cost structure, Monica, now the thing is like we are very much missing the following, that is research and development. You understand what I'm saying, Monica?
Yes, sir.
Because research and development is missing at the moment. And the other point of view that is missing at the moment
I
here is information technology is again one more area. Information technology and digital marketing. Okay, information technology and digital marketing is also purely missing in this section. So
health
research
and
and
safety.
development, health and safety is again one area. Health and safety is also one area that is effectively missing at the moment. So
Corporate governance.
we can that is not a direct one, so we can just keep it, because those are like, yeah, implicit one. I want the explicit one.
Okay.
So I believe these are the major factors that can be considered at the moment. And coming into the customer segments as well, now if you say Northland India consumers, expatriates of Northland India, now what we can do is we can target
Expand
the
global market.
international, I can say, consumer group. We can go for the international consumer group, that is we can end up as a multinational. So there is a point of view of moving from local to international as well. So that is one more thing. And the other one is business to business contacts, business to business partnership. Example, we can be partners with hotel chains, corporate officers. You understand what I'm saying? So that is very much concerned at the moment. And
Sorry, sir.
hello,
Yes, sir. On customer relationships, you wrote social media.
I will come to customer relationship later because I'm in customer
No,
segment.
I had a question on what was lacking on the cost structure there. Can you go down to the cost structure where you wrote information technology and digital market? Can you differentiate the two, the advertising and social media? Then
I will
information
come to
and
that.
digital
I will
market.
come to that. Can you give me some time? As I told you, I'm finishing this and I'll come to that.
All right, sir.
Okay, so Monica, coming back to the application. So business to business partnership with hotels is one more customer segment that is there. And the other part of customer segment that this organization can generally consider is expatriates, international consumer, business to business. And other thing what I can generally consider is retail segment. What do you think, Monica? Yes or no? Retail
Yes, sir.
segment,
Yes,
and I can say direct contact. So that is one more factor at the moment. So I think this is the customer segments that can be possibly done. So coming into the customer relationship, online feedback, advertisement, packaging, word of mouth, social media. Social media means we generally have just a basic appearance only, and we do not have a dedicated IT organization to take care of the social media. Monica, is it clear? because we
Yes,
do not have an active presence in the social media. We are just having a presence only. So this is one basic activity, but the exploitation level is very much poor. So coming into the customer relationship, what we can generally focus here is direct selling. There can be direct selling. Correct, Monica?
direct
That
selling websites, sir.
direct selling towards retail. Now, currently we are wholesalers, but we can go direct selling towards retail outlets. We can go with
Oh,
retail outlets as well. We do not have a retail outlet, and then we can have
through
websites.
websites we can.
Correct. Websites and platforms and platforms and platforms to sell the product, to sell the product. So that is also one major point of view on customer relationship that we can manage at the moment. So another point of view that we can generally go forward in customer relationship other than these two is like example referrals, brand ambassadors. Can we use brand ambassadors? Possible, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Referrals and brand ambassadors. And then one thing I can generally say is sponsorship. Can we go with sponsorship as well, like sponsoring major sports events? Possibly chances are there. Clear?
Yes, yes.
So these are the major targets. So coming into the sales channel, major retailers, and I can write down one more thing is direct retail outlets. We can directly go with direct retail outlets as well. So that is also highly possible at the moment. Direct retail outlets. And another thing of the sales channel, what we can generally do is we can also focus on the e-commerce platforms. We can go with the e-commerce platforms as well in order to reach the customer even directly, to make the sales channel even better and easier as well. And then we can focus on franchise. Is it possible to go on franchise? Yes. In case of international expansion, because when we are going to another country, I can generally say franchise can be a better option, like Starbucks and Tata franchise. Okay, so that is one. And then I can generally say agentship. There can be agentship, if I'm not mistaken, agentship.
So
Yes,
they can also supply for brands like Chai Kings, like that, no, sir.
yes, they can do that as well. So students, now these are the opportunities that we can generally like exploit in the future. There are high chances, and we need to make sure that the digital platforms are done, because just having a presence is different, and you have a dedicated IT is a different one. So students, now coming to the next one, that is the key partners, plantations, major retailers, blenders, factory workers, shareholders at the moment. But in the future, we can have botanist. Yes or no? Because Monica, can you remember there was an article related to the botanist?
Yes,
Because students, botanists are very important, because they are the people who can definitely help us on the research and development, where we can also consider options where we can plant tea in very closer neighborhoods or within locally as well. So botanist can be a key partner in the future for sure. And the other thing we can just say is online platforms. We can be partnership with the online platforms as well, because that can give a better reach for the production also. And another thing that we can generally consider is like example distribution network, because we can consider the distribution network as well. So I'll write down here distribution channels, distribution network, when we are becoming an international organization. So that is one key partners that we can consider. So the key activities, if you generally
sir.
see it,
Like suppliers of piping can also, they can become partner with their suppliers, no, sir.
correct. That is only plantation already we have, right? We have already mentioned here plantation.
Okay, sir.
So coming into the key activities, students, now if you see the key activities, what we generally needs to consider at the moment is research and development. Do we have research and development as a key activities? I don't think so. We don't have research and development, because research and development is very much essential for the growth and the continuation of a business. A business can be successful, but the people will always demand for something new. So research and development. Then I can just write down here another thing that they can heavily concentrate is digital marketing and e-commerce, because that is again a important trend that is taking place in the market, which is very
New
much
product development, sir.
correct. They can focus on that as well. So students, these are the key major activities that they can focus on. The key resources what they can generally now improve is, I can generally say, retail outlets. If they prefer, they can go for retail outlets, because that can be ending up as a key resource as well. And then the research and development department, I can generally say, although we do not have those things. So effectively value proposition in the future, what can happen is, I can specifically say innovation of new tea tea concepts, new tea concepts. Are you getting that point? Yes or no?
Yes,
Example,
yes.
I will just mention, have you heard something called tea vending machines? Have you heard about tea vending machine? Like Nescafe, Nestea.
Like coffee machines.
Yes, Nescafe, Nestea, where you put the coin and you can automatically get the tea. You get what I'm saying.
Yes,
So there can be innovation concepts like key vending machine, because at the moment, what we clearly observe is the market is very much saturated, and it's not very easier to move forward as well. So students, this is the effective structure of this organization. This material is very much important for you all, in order to make sure that you generally keep it for yourself, because this is critically important, students. So students, I think I have just summarized it. So any questions you like to ask, you can ask me, students. But this is very important. This is the entire summary of your business. This is your entire summary of your business. And one more thing, Maunika, I can also say CSR as a value proposition. You get what I'm saying?
yes, sir.
Because they are investing in CSR very much. CSR is a value proposition. Generally, when companies are giving identical products in the market, one of the method of differentiating their product is CSR. You get what I'm saying, Monica?
Yes,
Because
sir.
Tata is providing generic items in India, but Tata is very much stable in the market because of their CSR activities. Are you clear what I'm saying, Monica? Example, people may prefer to buy Tata coffee, assuming that Tata will do good to the society. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So that's one of the key success of organizations. Students, before we move forward, any questions you have, you can ask me. Any questions you have, please do let me know, students. In this, if you are fine with this, you can please put Y in the chat box. But please try to make sure that your mind is very much stable here.
If I may ask, sir, when responding to such a question, do we really need to do it in a format that you have done in a table, or you can just write these
No.
topics?
I will come to the writing of the answers later, because we are making ourselves familiar to the company. Because
Okay.
writing, I have never taught you till now. I'm making you familiar with the business, because if you want to write an answer, your answer should be business oriented. And if you write down just theory answer, you may not be able to get the sufficient results.
All right, sir. Thank you.
So thank you, students. So in summary, what I want to just make sure is the revenue streams are green. because if you see, Monica, you need money, correct? Yes or no? At the end of the day, and
Yes,
the cost is manageable. It can't be a pure black, a pure red color. It needs to be properly managed. If you are not managing it, you will find it very difficult later on, correct? So the revenue and the cost you need to know. And if you observe the customers, if you see here, the customers here, the sales channel, the customers are actually who who we are targeting, our target audience. You understand what I'm saying, Monica? Because target
yes,
audience is very important. If you target the wrong consumer segment, you will not be able to deliver the correct product. Are you clear with that, Monica? So get this
yes,
point of view very well. And coming to the key partners, key activities, key resources here, these are, I cannot say it is purely something of a blue. These are your cost proposition, because you need to manage it properly, because you need to have resources for the size of the market. And ultimately, which is very much important for your success of the business, is the value proposition. If your value proposition is wrong, I think everything will end up in a bigger mess. Everything will end up at a bigger mess. So students, just a request, please take a printout of this material. It is very much essential for you when you are doing the examination or when you are doing any question, because this will give you the critical thinkings of what your company can do and what is your current status at the moment. And as I always told you, you are a manager. As a manager, you need to be prepared to manage any situation. So students, I want to do a risk analysis part now. Before moving forward, any questions you have, you can ask me. If you are okay with the students, again, I need a why, because please be kind enough to ask the questions during the class hours. It will be very convenient for everyone, rather than directly messaging me every time for small messages. It will very much difficult for both the parties. So just try to take out your questions as soon as it arises. Thank you. Thank you, students. Thank you. Thank you. So now one thing, Monica, you are a finance manager, correct? Yes or no? So
yes,
finance manager should always be prepared for the risk of the business. Agree, no, Monica? Yes or no?
yes.
Because whatever the risk that is taking place, you should be like very much prepared with. So, Monica, can I ask you a question? Now, can you please tell me the risk that the organization took? What is the risk this organization took?
So, in employees' point of view, their health and safety is a risk. In
Mm,
case,
wrong. Because that's not a major risk at the moment. Please
okay,
understand, we are in the packaging industry. In the
okay,
packaging industry, I don't think the health and safety risk will be bigger impact, because
we are
packing
into
is a
only
very
one segment, sir. That is black tea.
correct. So that we say in this case is business risk. Our business itself is a risk. I'll tell you why. Because the nature of the business. So I'll write down here impact. That's a correct thing. So I'll write down here the piping business model. The piping business model. So shall we work? The piping business model is over dependent. Is over dependent on what, students? One product only, that is black tea, that is black tea, that is black tea. Therefore, the risk is high, the risk is high, since there are many rivals. Agree, no, Monica? Yes or no? Currently
Yes,
other sector is also there, so it's a very correct answer. So we have this as a major business risk, students, because you need to be aware about the risk what they are facing. So coming to the next one, Monica, is what is the mitigation strategy for this risk? How can we mitigate this risk? That is the question arising. How
We
are we
need
going?
we need to implement research and development to
No,
produce.
we need to explore. We need to explore a new
Yes,
varieties of teas. Correct, varieties of tea.
sir.
Like green tea, like green tea. Okay, like green tea.
The
and
herbal teas.
and the thing here is we say this as a portfolio diversification. This is known as what? Portfolio diversification, because at the moment we do not have any portfolio diversification, so there is high risk that something can happen anytime. Are you clear, students? Can I get a Y in the chat box, students, if you are clear with that, students? Because that is very important when you are thinking, students, because it's very important that you understand the major risk. Now let's connect the answer towards the flow. Now the next thing is, Monica, we specifically say is the product risk. Now the product risk is, Monica, it can be like this. If you see a company like Unilever, they have variety of products, correct? So
Yes,
one
sir.
product can fail, okay, but here we have only black tea. So anyway, our nature of business is highly dependent on one product. Now Unilever's nature of business is conglomerate, so their business risk is less, but the product risk is high. But in this case, when we are going to a new product development like green tea, can we face a product risk? Yes or no? High
Yes,
chances.
sir. Yes, sir, but in minimal amount.
Not exactly. The new product development, the new product development can generally have some effect, because Monica, I'll tell you why. Because in the tea industry, blending is important. You get what I'm saying, Monica? Anyone can buy tea
Yes,
leaves, but blending is not easy, because it is the ultimate of making the taste. Like in the cooking industry, anyone can buy the vegetables, everything, but the mixture is very important. Clear? So I'll write down here how we can mitigate the product risk is develop the new products in small markets. In what markets? Small markets. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
yes, sir.
And get the review and expand. That's the best way to do these things. Clear? So the small market function. Now, the next thing that we generally have, Monica, that is something called the
Currency
commodity.
risks.
No, commodity risk. Because Monica, tea leaves is a commodity. What do you think, Monica? Yes or
Yes,
no?
sir. Yes, sir.
Because students, we may be a good tea factory packager, but without tea leaves is the major commodity. Is the major commodity. Now you see, currently Sri Lanka is having a dollar crisis, so they are not able to export the tea. So countries which are dependent on Sri Lanka will have a commodity risk. Are you understanding what I'm saying, Monica? Now you see,
Yes,
in African countries, there was civil unrest. A lot of problems took place. So during that time, there is high level of what? Major commodity risk, right? If I'm not mistaken, yes or no, Monica? Practically speaking,
yes, sir.
and
Yes,
and I'll write down here. There can be shortage of tea leaves. There can be shortage of tea leaves, students. There can be shortage of tea leaves. There are high chances as well. So the mitigation strategy is explore variety of suppliers, and also increase the warehouse capacity. What do you think, Monica? Yes or no? Increase the warehouse
yes, sir.
capacity. And also we need to make sure we invest on research and development. We invest on research and development for botany and I can say temperature adjusted tea leaves. Can you remember it was mentioned on that? So the commodity risk is
Yes.
one of the major risk that we can generally face students, because I'm prioritizing the things in the order. So I'll come to the fourth, because you need to remember one thing. In management case study, you will be always getting marks on the how you prioritize your paragraph. You understand what I'm saying, Monica? Now, example, if you do an
Yes.
MBA or a BCom degree, whenever the question come, you write time saving, cost saving, you get marks. Correct, no, Monica? Yes
Yes.
or no? But
Yes.
when it comes to CIMA, they are very much professional oriented. You write time saving, cost saving, yes, they don't give you 0 marks, they give you 1 or 2 marks. But that doesn't means that you will be able to get the full marks that is expected. You need to write the relevant point as much as possible. So the next thing, students, after moving forward with the commodity risk, what I can generally say is the next thing that I can generally say is the strategic risk. Because students, there is high chances of strategic risk. I'll write down here. Major business developments, such as forward and backward integration. Uh, there can be forward and backward integration. Just get prepared, because I told you IFRS is very much tested. IFRS 10, they don't go into the calculation, but they generally go into the application of your answers. So be careful, students. So major business development, forward and backward integration. So I need to write down here scenario planning. We need to do a scenario planning, yes or no. And then there needs to be something called example of NPV analysis, because a new business proposal, okay, NPV analysis can come into the picture. So get this point of view very well. That's are the mitigation strategies. And then comes the other one, is the
Foreign.
no, Monica, foreign risk is generally a macro risk. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because macro risk is anyway like it is affecting any business, right, Monica? You are not thinking like a manager. Because foreign risk, if you just write, you will get marks, but not the sufficient.
Foreign ex- foreign exchange risk, sir.
That's macro, right? Which affect all the importing business, right? So
Yes.
that you just write down, they don't give enough marks. You get the
O-
point what I'm saying. You need to
Okay,
be
sir.
very specific to the business. So contract risk, there can be major contracts, not now, in the future in the exam, with plantations. Like we have to done some CSR projects, everything with plantation. So we are not fulfilling the contract. So there can be that point of view. So the mitigation strategy is accept the penalty in case if you do not do accept the penalty, because currently they are mentioning they are doing so many type of CSR activities. So in that case, there is high chances there is contract risk as well. So coming to the next one, what I can just write down here is like operational risk. Operational risk actually, students, 1852 established business. So I can generally say 1852 established business, because practically discussing established business will definitely can handle situation. Now example, Monica, you look at a company like Coca-Cola. They experienced Spanish flu, and they've experienced corona also. You understand what I'm saying, Monica?
Yes.
So they experienced World War One, they experienced World War Two. So Russia-Ukraine war is not an issue for them. You get the understanding why I said 1852 business can generally handle the things. You understood, because
Yes,
these
sir.
bigger organization, which is 100 years, 200 years old, they have gone through a huge, difficult, like I can say, business cycle. So they have the experience of all these things. So the other risk I can just write down. Now I'll just put down other risks. So I'll just mention.
Market risks, sir.
No, I'll write down here other risk. Now you are just telling the theory answers, but other risk is only like the macro, like political risk. They actually, these are risks, but actually like not specific, political risk, exchange risk, exchange rate risk, so interest rate, so many risks are there. So these are just the basic macro risk actually. Now, even if you see market risk is very much close with the product risk, because actually market and the product has a, I can say, direct relationship. The trends in the market can change. That is the idea. So students, my concern here is these three. You need to be very specifically careful with these three. These are the major categories of risk factors that this business will generally face. You understand what I'm saying there, Monica?
Yes, sir.
Generally, they may face. Now, if you see, in case, if they go into digitalization, let's assume, in case, if they go into digitalization, there is high chances of something called what risk? Cyber risk. Are you clear with that? But at the moment, the digitalization is very much minimal because the transaction processing is very much not in the platforms. It's generally a basic handling effect. Are you clear with what I'm saying there, Monica?
Yes, sir.
So these are the risk factors that you need to be very much aware about, because students, just remember, these days we are critically learning the business, because if you learn the business properly, you can do the mocks properly. Are you understanding what I'm saying, Monica? Because
Yes,
if you don't know the business, you will be writing very much theoretical answers in the examination, which will not be sufficient enough to clear the paper. So I just want to ask the students, any questions you have, you can ask me. This is the risk analysis what we have done. So many risks are there, but just remember the commodity risk is one thing, Monica. There is natural disasters. Can natural disasters affect the tea plantation? Possible or not possible? Yes or no? High
yes, sir.
chances, right? There can be a
Yes,
flood in the hill country. There can be something, a pest control, something can take place that will definitely affect the business process. So moving forward, students, any questions you have, you can ask me. So I'll just go for a one-to-one session. Monica, any questions?
sir. Not in today's class, sir, but I have a general doubt, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, like I have messaged you asking for what kind of uh,
Can you
in
speak?
intangible assets, what kind of amortization method will be using for piping, sir?
No, there is nothing like that, because it depends on the case study scenario, because they have just given intangible asset at the moment. So we can't go in detail on what type of amortization. That is very theory, because they
Okay,
won't go for that level in the case study.
okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Malit, any questions? Ravi Kumar, any questions? Vishnu, any questions?
Sir, we'll do also ecosystem analysis.
We did that.
Okay, okay, sir.
Mr. Kofi, any questions?
No, sir.
Thank you. Badwell, any questions?
No questions, sir.
Luke, any questions?
Yes, I don't know. Maybe it's a contribution. Hello, sir.
Yes, yes.
Yes. You mentioned about the weather that may affect the tea production. So I thought of the quality risk, taking from the point that all affected by plantation. Black tea leaves from different countries have different flavors, and flavors can also be affected by the plantation where they are grown.
Definitely.
So then also about I don't know about the price risk, since they are all price takers, they take price according to the auction market.
Correct.
Is it also relevant?
It is relevant. Correct. And
Okay,
the
sir.
thing is, there can be a situation of the flavors being different taste, but the blenders have the idea of how to manage the taste.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Someone with AC Nagar, your name I'm not sure. You can any question you have, you can ask. Adil, any questions?
No, sir.
Douglas, any question? Okay, so students, I believe there is no questions from anyone.
Hello, I say.
Yes, Douglas.
Yeah, I just joined.
Okay, I think your voice is breaking, Douglas. You can use the chat box if you have any questions. So students, what we have to understand is the next class we will start our mock. I will do the mock on behalf of you. I'll teach you how to write the mocks as well. But just be very much prepared with the business knowledge because we did the ecosystem analysis as well. Monica, I think ecosystem we did, right? The wolf gang, the lion's pride. Can you remember, Monica?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. So students, so thank you very much for the time. Please take a printout of this. So I'll meet you on the Thursday class.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Luke.
Sorry, I wanted to just ask you, Monica, she asked about goodwill or intangible assets. So now my worry is instead
I
of
think
us,
that question is a technical question. It's not relevant for the moment.
okay. So I was just asking if there are other areas or topics that we are supposed to focus on
No,
that
I think
are related
industry
to
is
the
more than
pre-seed.
enough at the moment. Industry is more than enough at the moment.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you, students.